Romance scams. When loneliness makes us vulnerable. Hi everyone, Leo Notenboom here for askleo.com. It's pretty clear by now that loneliness is an epidemic. We read about it a lot. The COVID pandemic, of course, made it worse, but honestly, it was already on track before that came around. Besides the negative health impacts, there's a little discussed yet important side effects. Loneliness makes us more vulnerable to being scammed. Scammers are busy at work, exploiting this vulnerability to the tune of $1.3 billion in 2024. I want to review how those scams work and how you can keep yourself and your loved ones safe. Romance scams are a form of what's called a pig butchering scam. It's a long con, meaning it's a long confidence game or scam. This means that the scam takes place over weeks or months or even longer. The scammers use this time to build trust, after which they finally swoop in, scam the victim, often multiple times, and once that well runs dry, the scammer just disappears. It's common for romance scams specifically to result in thousands of lost dollars. It starts by targeting the individual who is vulnerable and looking for a connection. These scams have a really common sequence. After creating fake personas and fake online profiles, the scammer reaches out to a target victim. It might be via supposedly misdirected text message, or an email harvested from a public forum, or public records, or many other ways. The goal is to engage that person in very innocent, very innocuous conversation. There is zero hint of malicious intent. It all feels kind of normal. The target may never learn how the scammer found them. It could be targeted specifically, or honestly, it could be completely random. Depending on how they initially contact, most scammers will suggest that you move your conversation to somewhere more private, perhaps one of the more secure chat services. This actually allows them to avoid detection by the more public and monitored communications tools. Over days and weeks, the scammer maintains relatively frequent contact. Eventually, the conversations turn affectionate. Sometimes they employ a technique called love bombing, sharing excessive and extreme compliments and declarations of affection. To deepen the connection, the scammer may also do some homework and pretend to share values and hobbies and experiences that their research has shown apply to their target victim as well. Now, when people are lonely to begin with, these attempts to build trust and a relationship, even without ever having met, are more likely to succeed. They're more likely to fall for the attention they're getting and the connection that they're so hungry for. Now, at one point or another, the target is very likely to suggest that, hey, a real-life meeting would be kind of nice. Either of two things are going to happen. The scammer will respond with a variety of excuses why they can't meet right now. Perhaps they're working abroad, perhaps they're in the military, or perhaps they're dealing with just some other random issue that prevents them from meeting you in person. Or they'll just transition right into the scam and start asking or hinting at the need for money to help make the meeting happen. They'll say that they're unable to pay for something important required to meet, like a passport or a visa or a plane ticket, or in some cases, even a bribe. I'll talk about more on that in a second. What distinguishes romance scams from other scams is the type of influence the scammers choose to exploit. While many scams are based on fear, like fake IRS scams or technology misdirection and so on, romance scams target the heart. Scammers work to make the relationship as deep as possible. Some even propose marriage. Creating future plans deepens this sense of commitment between the target and the scammer. And if the target balks along the way, well, then the scammer applies guilt and more guilt to imply that, gee, the target doesn't really care for them as much as they care for the target. Otherwise, the target would engage with them more deeply. In other words, giving them the money that they're asking for. It's always about money. Asking to meet is an easy way for the scammer to turn to the topic of cash, but there are lots of other techniques. Almost all involve starting, well, fairly small, and then scaling up and up and up. The scammer might ask for money, citing some urgent scenario such as an unexpected medical bill or travel expense or customs fee or something. Often, they don't even ask directly, they just explain the need. They count on the target being a generous soul, particularly now that they're in this trusting, albeit long-distance relationship. Then, some targets just offer to pay without being asked. The first request usually isn't big. If money is sent, the requests then become larger and more frequent. Urgency and pressure and emotional blackmail often escalate along with the amount. The scammer is not going to stop until the target does. They'll continue asking for and extracting more and more money as long as the target supplies it. This can go on for months or even years. Every time a target expresses concern, the scammer applies increasing amounts of emotional blackmail, something lonely people are particularly susceptible to. Eventually, yes, the target stops sending money, sometimes when they run out of it, and the scammer just vanishes, leaving both emotional and financial devastation behind. Particularly when we're vulnerable and particularly when emotions, time, and effort have been invested, it's hard to admit that we've fallen for something. Here are some red flags that should always raise concern. Moving to private channels. Declarations of affection that are just too quick. Never being able to meet. There's always an excuse. Unexpected expenses that start small and then start to ramp up. Asking for non-refundable payment methods like gift cards or cryptocurrency. And again, accusations and emotional manipulation if the smallest hint of doubt is expressed. Now, one of the saddest aspects of romance scams is when we see it happening to others, especially family members, before they see it themselves. Some things to watch for. Hearing of a relationship that moves unusually fast, with talk of love or deep commitment within days or weeks of meeting online. Being asked to set up a new communications app like Signal or WhatsApp or others for your loved one. Learning that your loved one has never met their paramour in person. Discovering that the supposed partner's online profile and photos look overly polished, or even worse, they use stock images. You're asked to help your loved one send money or gift cards or cryptocurrency. And your loved one becomes reactive or defensive when questioned or seems secretive or isolated from normal contact. If you notice several of these signs, try as best you can to discuss your concern with your loved one and encourage them to pause communication, verify the person's identity somehow, and seek advice from truly previously trusted sources. Now, it gets a little bit worse. A relatively new twist on the romance scam is the use of AI. There are several ways AI can make the scams much more believable and successful. AI provides proper English, or whatever your native language might be. I'm tempted to say proper enough because even native speakers aren't perfect, and AI can include an appropriate amount of imperfection. This is a huge boon for overseas scammers. Voice synthesis. In lieu of a meeting, some scammers invite a phone conversation. With AI, they can convincingly sound like someone they're not. And video synthesis. This isn't yet common, but I expect it will be on the rise. You might be encouraged to connect via a video call. And a person who looks and acts and speaks perfectly normally might not be real at all. The bottom line is that you may not be able to believe what you read, what you hear, or what you see. The bottom line, of course, is to always be extremely cautious when giving money to someone you've never met. If that breaks up a potential romance, well, you know what? Then it was never meant to be anyway, real or fake. And if you have been scammed, reach out for help. I know that it is super tempting to hide in shame, but there's really no need. You are not alone. These scammers are good at what they do. Get support from friends, from family, or organizations like the AARP. Their Fraud Watch is an excellent resource. Not only will you get the assistance you need, but you'll help others learn and avoid similar scams in the future. For updates, for links, for comments related to this topic and more, visit askleo.com/182646. I'm Leo Notenboom, and this is askleo.com. Thanks for watching.